You're watching CW Montana. This is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. I'm Andrea Lutz. Ahead tonight, after asbestos was discovered on the University of Montana campus at a building used for a daycare, now a look at where the child care center will go. That is coming up. Plus, flooding remains a major concern across parts of our state. Now a concern about damage, and what that's leaving behind. But first, it's been a first for Carroll College's men's basketball team competing on a national stage tonight at the NAIA championship game. It's all taking place in Kansas City. You know, that game is just wrapped up. Our Scott Breen.
They were all talking about it statewide. Everybody, all the cities, you know.
Many.
It was a week ago tonight. I was down at Rimrock Auto Arena when Montana Western's women won their first national championship. Tonight, Carroll College playing in its first ever national championship game. As we take a look at how the video turns out, they sort of ran into a buzzsaw tonight. They were playing against top-seeded Georgetown College of Kentucky, and Georgetown showed why it was the top seed tonight. They just went to work early, jumped out to a 14-4 lead. Before Carroll knew what happened, it was 35-15. They were down at halftime. Carroll only hit one three-pointer in the first half, 1 of 14 shooting. So the ultimate final tonight was 68-48. Again, it just went final within about the last 10 to 15 minutes. Coming up in sports across your statewide stations, Richie Melby will join us from down in Kansas City. He'll hear from the players. He's with them now. But tough night for Carroll. Great tournament, terrific season. But just Georgetown, Kentucky wins its third national championship.
So did. All right. They always have next year. Isn't that what they always say?
Starting tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, Scott, for that. All right, moving on. Traffic still limited to one lane in each direction on Interstate 90. This is in the eastern part of our state. Right now, there is still about 1 to 2 inches of water on the roadway. The interstate was fully opened earlier today after the floodwaters closed the road. You might remember that. This video taken Sunday. The flooding impacting Crow Agency to the Wyoming border. Drivers, of course, should be using caution. Well, tonight, Park County is in a state of emergency due to increased flooding. MTN's Emma Hamilton travels to Paradise Valley, where the Yellowstone River continues to rise.
Well, Andrea, wait until you see this video of how much water is in some of these areas. Now, these spots look like they could be ponds right now. This here is at least 8 inches of water, where there isn't supposed to be water at all. Park County Director of Emergency Management Greg Coleman says roadways are channeling water and there have been reports of basements flooding in homes.
We've identified 14 sites with flood damage, and those are, I believe, primarily roads. 5 of those roads are closed.
The sheriff's office is monitoring closed roads and are checking on residents living on these roads to ensure they are safe. There are currently no evacuations, and the emergency management team does not have concerns about access to Gardner. Coleman says people need to be cautious in these areas.
It's important to avoid driving through flowing or standing water. So some of the roadways have been severely compromised, and you can't tell if there's water over the roadway. So even if the water's not flowing, it may not be safe to drive through it. And if the water is flowing, it only takes a couple of inches of flowing water to carry away a car.
Coleman also added that now is the time for people to make sure that they have a 72-hour emergency supply kit in their homes, along with having a plan if there is ever the need to evacuate. Back to you at the desk.
All right, Emma, thanks for that. We do want to let you know about a story that we've been following all day. An update tonight on a missing Glacier National Park tourist. Flathead County located the man's body today in Lake McDonald. Family members notified police that the 48-year-old Arizona visitor was missing. His vehicle was found at the Lake McDonald Lodge. Then dive teams recovered his body from the lake. There is no foul play suspected. That lake, though, frozen in some places. Still, open water does exist. A Lolo man accused of leaving an infant child buried in the woods near Lolo Hot Springs will spend 20 years in prison. Prosecutors say 33-year-old Francis Crowley was high on meth and bath salts when he left the child in February of 2018. Crowley was sentenced to 10 years, 2 counts of criminal endangerment for each, but one of those sentences was then suspended. The baby was found by authorities after a massive search. It survived. Tonight, there are no longer any legal tug-of-wars over Bozeman's proposed Law and Justice Center as a judge has thrown out a recent lawsuit. Former lawmaker Roger Koopman filed that suit, saying the city advocated the safety building to voters instead of educating them. The complaint was dismissed after a week of deliberation. Deputy Mayor Chris Smell says it feels good to be able to move forward. And in a statement tonight, Roger Koopman sent us, he says that he and his attorney are currently reviewing all of their options. There are some new details surrounding Libby Asbestos. We're learning all residential properties have been cleaned. Now the EPA will work to ensure those properties stay clean. The Libby Asbestos Superfund Advisory Team met in Helena. Libby has been a Superfund site since 2002, and the cleanup from the town's asbestos-contaminated areas, all of that from W.R. Grace's vermiculite mine. After properties were cleaned, the EPA will then hand over the responsibility to the state of Montana. In many cases, asbestos was sealed inside of many of those buildings. University of Montana leaders are moving a child care center previously moved because of asbestos back into McGill Hall. So you may remember children were moved out of that to a different location on campus back in January. Officials contemplated whether they should permanently move that child care facility or what they should do. The university says the building, though, is now safe enough for children. Crews at Montana State University will have to remove a third gym in the process of clearing away rubble that two gyms have left after their roofs collapsed under heavy snow this winter. Questions remain as to what led to the collapse of the two gym roofs on the campus. As crews demolish both the north and the south gyms, they have to think about removing the upper gym that's standing still in between them. Grant Street will be closed for safety, but crews say that nearby fitness center, they don't want that to get damaged.
We really want to be transparent with how we're working on this, how we're recovering from the loss of the gyms and throughout the removal process. So we're trying very hard to communicate clearly with everybody affected by this.
Okay, well, also in Butte, take a look at this. There's cleanup underway at a really big warehouse building. And this roof, look at that, collapsed last week. Boats and vehicles stored in that warehouse suffered, as you can see, extensive damage. C. Davies Enterprises is the company that's now removing that debris. Enrollment, retention, and building up its campus, the newest goals for Montana State University Billings. Tonight, we break down how MSU Billings will implement their long-term strategic plan.
Spring, always a good time to start new, start fresh. At MSU Billings, a fresh mission is on the horizon.
Billings is the biggest city in the state. Why not have a real strong university? That's what we're trying to do here.
Chancellor Dr. Dan Edelman is putting his focus this semester on implementing the school's brand new strategic plan.
And I want to make sure that the students can get a world-class opportunity.
A world-class opportunity, he says, comes with four main themes: educate, retain, strengthen relationships, and unify the culture. But Edelman knows their biggest focus comes down to invigorating enrollment.
We want to have 6,000 students in 5 years.
While enrollment was up in 2017, in the fall of 2018, enrollment numbers were down by 2%.
Next week, we're going to announce some restructuring of the university to really get some more enrollment initiatives and gains.
He says they've been able to keep tuition flat, reduce student housing costs by 20%. He did say working closely with our hospitals is an objective.
With that, we're going to be able to work with the medical community to do some research and be an incubator for different research products.
So as spring takes shape here on campus, Edelman says he hopes his vision will also take shape in the framework of their next strategic plan.
And also, we want to let you know about this. This Thursday, MSUB will invite the public to learn more about the plan. It's all going to happen at the Petro Theater, I should say. The Trump administration creating a task force focused on protecting Native American children in the Indian Health Service system. This comes after accusations of sexual abuse by a former pediatrician on the Blackfeet Reservation. The task force will investigate the breakdown that failed to protect the victims and develop new best practices to protect children in the future. Access to federal resources could be possible as Congress passed a bill to federally recognize the Little Shell tribe. The bill would allow the tribe to purchase 200 acres of land to serve as its reservation. The bill was blocked in December and then reintroduced in January. The bill grants tribal recognition, of course, and access to all of those resources. So a lot to be thinking about with that. Still to come on tonight's MTN 9 o'clock news, our local coverage of the U.S. border continues. Tonight, a look at the Border Patrol's role in a politically heightened situation. And our Bob McGuire is monitoring flood conditions in real time. Is your area of the state seeing water rising? He's got the answer.